Good morning and happy Easter Sunday, UNC Charlotte. This is student meteorologist Brianna Fox here to bring you an in-depth look at the rain we'll be seeing this afternoon, as well as the potential for severe weather moving into the overnight hours tonight and early morning hours tomorrow morning. Taking a look over our Woodward Skycam, as you can see, we have pretty cloudy skies this morning. Temperature is currently around 52 degrees, a dew point around 45, with winds coming out of the south around 8 miles per hour. Taking a look next at our current surface analysis map, as you can see, we have a low pressure system here over central Texas, which is the fuel for all the rain we're going to see this afternoon, as well as the severe weather we're going to be seeing into the early morning hours tomorrow. Currently, we have some of that rain sitting over northeastern Texas, moving into Louisiana. That has already produced some severe warnings this morning, both severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings. Now, the main thing I want to take a look at is this warm front here, because this is going to play a crucial part in what kind of weather we may see later tonight into the overnight and early morning hours. As this warm front approaches our area, it's going to bring with it a bunch of moisture from the Gulf, and that is going to play a crucial part in the formation of severe weather later tonight. As this warm front approaches our area, it's going to advect a bunch of moisture, very warm temperatures, and it will push this batch of rain towards our area this afternoon into this evening. And later this evening, we're going to see somewhat of a lull in precipitation before those storms begin to move through our area into the overnight hours tonight. Next, I wanted to take a look at our SPC guidance. This is just the categorical outlook, which is an overall chance to see some type of severe weather throughout the day. Over the Charlotte area, we're around a slight risk. As you start moving towards the deep south, you have more of an enhanced risk, and over northern central Alabama, as well as most of Mississippi and northeastern Louisiana, we have a moderate risk of severe weather, which lines up pretty well with this tornado outlook that we've been given. Looking over the Charlotte area, we have around a 5% chance of seeing tornadoes, which you may think seems pretty low, but given the parameters present as well as the timing of this system, it is a pretty high chance of seeing a tornado around our area. Moving closer to the deep south, we have this greater 10% risk area with an embedded 15% risk area of, again, over north central Alabama, most of Mississippi, into northeastern Louisiana. And as you can see, both of these areas are hatched, and what that means is that there is a greater risk in these areas of seeing very strong long track tornadoes, which is never a good sign, and it's not something you want to see. So if you have any family or friends that live in this area, definitely check up on them throughout the day and make sure they're staying weather aware, make sure they have a weather radio or some form of communication on hand to receive any severe warnings as soon as they're issued. Taking a look at the wind outlook, this is what we're more focused on in this area, as damaging winds seem to be the greater threat as these storms move through. We're around a 15% chance in the Charlotte area. That moves on to a 30 and 45% chance as you get more into the deep south. Taking a look next at a couple model runs to get the timing of the precipitation. Currently, there's not much going on as we move into the early afternoon hours around 1 or so. Some light rain is going to start moving in. There'll definitely be pockets of some heavier rain, but most of the rain we'll end up seeing from all of this will be from the severe storms that move through later tonight. Taking a look at this one, again, here we are in the upper right-hand corner. I know it's a little hard to see, it's a little small, but I wanted to use this view to really talk about the differences in the type of weather we could see based on how this line here sets up. So as we take a look at this, as we watch it step through time, you can see all these little cells begin to form as it advances to the east, and that is the big picture here. As you can see, we have somewhat of a line forming, but a lot of them are little individual supercells just kind of all lined up together, and that is what's going to give the deep south a greater risk for tornadic potential today into this evening. Now, as that line approaches our area, whether it stays more of a convective line or whether it turns into supercells again will determine what kind of weather we see. As it approaches, we see more supercell activity in it, which is all these little separate cells embedded in this line, we'll see a greater potential for tornadic activity as these storms will really be able to get going and the updrafts will be able to begin to rotate. But if we see more of a linear system approaching the area into the early morning hours, we'll have much greater of a threat of damaging winds than we will seeing tornadic activity. Next, I wanted to really highlight the threat for damaging winds because this is the big kicker for our area. As you can see, stepping through the early morning hours, you can see all these yellow and browny colors moving over our area, and these are wind speed values upwards of 65 to 70 knots, which is very strong wind. And as these winds move over our area just above the surface, as these storms move through, those really fast winds are going to get pulled down to the surface by these storms, which will bring the potential for very strong, very damaging winds into the early morning hours as these storms roll through. The last thing I wanted to talk about today was the chance for tornadoes. Now, what we're looking at right now is called the significant tornado parameter, and this essentially just takes every parameter meteorologists look at for tornado formation and kind of puts them all into one number. And as this moves, as you can see, as this picture advances, the highest values that we see come through our area about the same time as the storms are forecast to move through our area. And these values are around 2 to 3, which might not seem that high, but they do line up being the same or a little bit higher than the values we saw back in February when we got all of that severe weather moving through our area that dropped a couple tornadoes in the Charlotte area and surrounding area. So while the tornado threat is not very significant, it is still there, and the chance for tornadoes cannot be ruled out. So just going back to this model run to talk a little bit more about the timing, around early afternoon, around 1 or so, is when we're expecting that first round of rain to move in. And as the main line of severe weather approaches into the early morning hours tomorrow, around 8 a.m. is when we're looking to see the greatest chance of those storms moving through the Charlotte area. And again, it is a great day to stay weather aware and stay safe, and keep an eye on our social media pages to stay updated throughout the day as things change. Have a good one, UNC Charlotte.